G'day, Pickleball family. Let's go straight into the update for the Professional Pickleball Tour Awards for August 30 and what has transpired since I last shared the information with you. Let's get straight into the X, or formerly known as Twitter, streams, accounts, feeds of the respective organisations. Let's start with Major League Pickleball as we move across to see the signings that they have announced overnight. Let's move straight into those ones. So we can see here as we scroll through Major League Pickleball, some more signings locked in. No real names of note that you may know. They all seem to be obviously low-level tier players that have signed up. One notable signing that we can see here is a content creator in the pickleball space and definitely well worth a follow. That pickleball guy, Kyle Kazuta, putting out great instructional pickleball videos. I highly suggest and recommend you go follow Kyle at That Pickleball Guy on YouTube. Great to see him signing up with Major League Pickleball on a 3-year contract. Fascinating story with Kyle, having come across from a basketball background, made the complete switch to pickleball and obviously pro pickleball, grinding away and working away very hard. And now great to see him being rewarded with all that hard work, resulting in a contract on the Major League Pickleball Tour. Congratulations, Kyle. No other real signings of note, apart from, of course, Lindsay Newman. Of course, Riley's sister, and great to see that Lindsay Newman has signed up as well with her brother on the MLP tour. So that's another big coup for the MLP. CJ Klinger, another signing of note, another young gun coming through, and some other minor signings. So that's the Major League Pickleball Twitter feed. Let's move across to the PPA Tour Twitter or X feed, and let's see what we have here overnight. Connor Pardo, the founder and CEO of the PPA Tour, has tweeted out or reposted here the Selkirk survey, which is interesting, and I will touch in a later segment in this episode as well. Tyler Loong, obviously a repost here from the PPA Tour. Tyler Loong, pro pickleball player and PPA Tour loyalist, has tweeted out lots of emotion still going on, but more than ever grateful for PPA and what they have created thus far. No other real updates of importance to note here on the PPA Tour. It's all somewhat back to normal, business as usual on the PPA Tour X or Twitter feed. Obviously, major signings that I've already reported on, starting here with Lauren Stratman and Julian Arnold. That's the PPA Tour X/Twitter stream to bring you up to date there as well. Let's move across to the Dink Pickleball. The dinkpickleball.com, worthy of a follow here at Pickleball on X or Twitter, and also at the dinkpickleball.com. This is, according to social media, the Dink Pickleball's updated list of player announcements as at 9:35 p.m. Twitter time on August 29. No flips yet. Interesting to note, 78 player signings in the MLP and 30 of those Premier and 37 on the PPA, 15 of those being Premier. And another interesting screen share I'll bring your attention to here on X and Twitter as well is an excellent infographic from Maggie Ramins. Apologies, Maggie, if I'm mispronouncing your surname. Well worth a follow, putting out some excellent infographics on the Tour Awards. Believe when you read Maggie's bio, she is a retired D1 college tennis player turned pro pickleball athlete. So she definitely knows her stuff from an athlete player perspective. And I highly suggest you go follow Maggie. for her excellent infographics. This one here posted at 3:55 a.m. Twitter time, August 29, on the MLP versus PPA as it has fallen by the numbers, the two awards thus far. We can see here the MLP, 71 signed players at the time this was published. The breakdown of men and women in the MLP, 37 men, 34 women, 15 countries represented. The average men's duper in the MLP signing, 6.48. Average women's duper, 5.63. And the average age of the MLP players, 30. On the PPA side, we have 37 signed players on the PPA, and we have 11 countries represented. There we have a women's PPA average duper of 5.71 and an average duper for the PPA men's of 6.39. And we have the PPA average age at 31. And then the number of men to women on the PPA signings thus far at the time of this publication, 21 men and 16 women. I'll now bring your attention to an excellent article published on the kitchenpickle.com by Jason Aspers. Once again, apologies, Jason, if I'm mispronouncing your surname. One of the founders of the Kitchen Pickleball, very active on all the social medias. I highly recommend you go and follow them as well. A brilliant opinion piece, as well as a news piece. Jason and his co-founder just happened to be scheduled for a meeting with Steve Kuhn, the founder of the MLP, and the new CEO, Giulio Di Pietro, and they were on the ground as it broke, as it happened. So they had arranged a meetup, as Jason goes on to share. A great opinion piece, and also just from a personal perspective as well, given Jason's many years around pickleball from the start of MLP and beyond. So well worth the read. I highly suggest you check this out. Now, some notable points to be aware of that I'll bring your attention to, that I'll paraphrase or read here for you as we just scroll through the rest of this article. Now, some interesting points here that Jason brings out. This wasn't the way Tom, Steve, or Connor, Tom referring to Tom Dundon, of course, who is the majority owner, billionaire Tom Dundon of Carvana and Topgolf fame, obviously majority owner of the PPA Tour, along with Connor Pardo and the Pardo family. This wasn't the way Tom, Steve, or Connor, or the fans, or anyone who loves the game wanted pro pickleball to shake out. But while it feels messy at the moment and potentially unnecessary, it's actually an amazing time for these pro players. This is a proxy battle, but it isn't just about money or power. It is about a game that we all love. And this fracturing of the alliance has led to a sustainable profession for dozens of players, the majority of whom have been living paycheck to paycheck, working second jobs, and debating if they can even afford to continue. These contracts provide a stable paycheck to the athletes who have given everything they have to make this sport so entertaining to watch. So, at the very least, something very good has happened out of what could appear to be a messy situation. Both sides have resisted taking the nuclear option. While they can't seem to find alignment in working together, there is respect for what the other side has built. The air of decorum makes me hopeful that reconciliation isn't completely out of the question, but the terms of whatever deal the two sides could possibly strike will certainly look significantly different than last year. Last year, referring to Pickleball Tours 1. Pickleball Tour Awards, I should say, 1. To round out this article, at the end of the day, the best pickleball will be a mix of individual singles and doubles tournament play and team league play. Pickleball doesn't have to be and shouldn't be a zero-sum game. I hope these two sides can find a way to work together because, unlike the game of pickleball, the business of pickleball doesn't need winners and losers. Everyone can win. And if nothing else, today the players have won. Moving your attention across to now the Selkirk survey I mentioned, retweeted by Connor Pardo, founder of the CEO, on the site, on the PPA Tour X/Twitter site account. This somewhat of a, it appears to be quite biased by Selkirk as PPA Tour loyalists. I'll draw your attention to. Also interesting to note, they released this survey, somewhat interesting in the timing, it being released on August 28th in the midst of these tour wars. This survey, of course, was conducted between April 18 and May 16, so well before Tour Wars number 2 happened. So interesting to see that it is quite pro PPA Tour. Key highlights of this survey I'll draw your attention to here are that the PPA Tour is the preferred tour to watch. Respondents ranked the PPA Tour as the most prestigious. The PPA Tour was the most live streamed, and the PPA Tour had the most in-person attendance. Moving to professional pickleball viewership, aside from the survey results, total viewership numbers from YouTube also showcase a fan preference for the PPA Tour. The PPA Tour, nearly 25 million views since November 2019 and nearly 14 million views year to date. Major League Pickleball, nearly 3.3 million views since September 2021 and just over 2 million views year to date. And they're also citing that socialblade.com was used to gather the above YouTube viewership numbers. An interesting survey there, but somewhat biased all the same from Selkirk. As I bring home the Tour Wars update for you, I'll just draw your attention to some excellent perspectives that are being put out there, notably the Drop podcast, which is normally hosted by pro pickleball players Anna Bright and Dylan Fraser. This one is by Anna Bright on her own. Anna Bright, of course, is partners in Love and Life with James Ignatowicz. And Anna goes on in this interview, which I highly recommend you go and watch if you have any interest at all in the Pickleball Tour Wars from a pro player perspective. She shares the nuances and why she made the decision she did. And of course, her partner, James Ignatowicz, going to MLP. And then from another perspective, we have here as well. So we have that from Anna Bright. And then moving over to the Tennis Sucks podcast from pro pickleball player and MLP team owner Travis Rettenmeyer. An interesting perspective from him on his take on the Tour Wars and how it has all played out and how he sees it playing out in the future. Travis Rettenmeyer, famously coming from a tennis background, now completely a pickleball evangelist, and interesting to hear his perspective as well. And to finish up on some non-pickleball Tour Wars related information for you, we have in pickleballunion.com reporting that John McEnroe was hit back at Andre Agassi's recent call to arms as we approach the Pickleball Slam 2 event. The Pickleball Slam 1, of course, being very, very successful. And we can see here, as I take you through the highlights of this article, that the inaugural event held in April proved to be a remarkable triumph for charity, especially. We had in the first event, we had Andre Agassi and Andy Roddick against John McEnroe and Michael Chang. This article goes on to quote and state that as round 2 approaches, obviously McEnroe and Agassi are dialing up the trash talking, the smack talk on the social media accounts. Agassi will join forces with his spouse, of course, Steffi Graf, widely acclaimed as one of the greatest women's tennis players of all time. On the opposing side, McEnroe is aligning himself with former world number 1 Maria Sharapova, and that will be taking place in February on Feb 4, 24, broadcast live on ESPN at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood, Florida. Agassi has made an Instagram post in which he indulged in a little trash talking, calling out Agassi, calling out how McEnroe kept blaming Chang the entire time. And now McEnroe has returned the favor in his own Instagram post and obviously announcing that Maria Sharapova will be partnering him, and he's looking forward to the mixed doubles against Agassi and Steffi Graf. If you found any of this helpful or informative in any way, be sure to dink that like button. Paddles up.